Hello, and welcome to the Gers TV. My name's Si Leslie, and we've got Jay on. I'm live from Glasgow. Jay, how's things, mate?
All good, mate. All good. It's been a busy few days, I think, with the transfer news and stuff. There's been some incomings, a rumored outgoing as well. So it's all kicking off, which is great to see because we've got a lot of work to do this summer.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Well, we've spent, I reckon from about September onwards, we've been going on about the fact that we need to be prepared to get a full new defence. And to be fair, it looks like we're just about to have a full new defence. Starting from the goalkeeper right through, I think we're going to have a proper Rangers defence for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, look at the rumours today. I think we've bid. I think we've had a bid accepted, haven't we, for the goalkeeper? So if you start there, we've got that. What's it called? Ivor Pandur? Is it
I
Ivor
think it's,
Pandur or
I
Igor?
think it's Ivor Pandur.
Ivor Pandur. Yeah. So goalkeeper from Hull City, 6 million. Which, do you know what? I thought that's quite cheap because this goalkeeper, and I was reading things from like the Hull City supporters. And apparently, he almost single-handedly kept them in the league the season before last, and then he played every single game for them in the Championship last season as they got promoted. And he's only the fourth goalkeeper to have kept a clean sheet during the playoffs as well. So, and we're getting him for 6 million. Normally, you'd expect, and he's 26 years old, so normally you'd expect a goalkeeper that has managed to get a team promoted. You're thinking 20, 25 million. So it's like, how have we managed to get him for 6? And it's not like he wasn't performing well. He's at the World Cup with Croatia at the minute. He's been their savior essentially over the last couple of seasons. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really good signing for us.
Yep, vastly experienced goalkeeper. As you said, he's playing in the World Cup just now, even more experience. He's played in England, he's kept Hull City and amongst it, and he's about to sign for the biggest club he'll ever sign for, the famous Glasgow Rangers. I think it's a move that really needed to take place. I wish Jack Butland all the best, mate. I genuinely think he's a good guy. I think it got too much for him at times. Maybe he's got an argument that the defence in front of him was so bad that it affected his nerves, but we need a full new start. A complete reshuffle of the defence. And if you're going to do that, you start with the goalkeeper. And I'm delighted with that. And I think Liam Kelly is more than sufficient backup if need be. But I am happy with that. So far, so good.
Yeah. And the thing that I like the most as well is that we're getting money for Jack Butland. How many times have we seen in the past, especially when you got a player that's 33 years of age, how many times have we seen it where they've got 1 year left in the contract, they overstay their welcome, they're here for that additional year, and then they leave for free at the end of that season? Now we're getting rid of a goalkeeper, which we all feel like we need to move on from anyway. He's 33, and we're getting 3 million for him. So we're basically half the money that we're spending on that Panda is now going to be in our pockets again. So I think it's really good business all around, to be honest.
I mean, it has visions in it. The SNP famously bought 2 pandas for £1 million, but this panda will be a tourist attraction. I'll get the panda jokes in early. Just in case you're wondering about the long pause, that just helps the panda walk in the grass. And there's 2 panda jokes. Aye, I'm really excited, mate, Amar. The Butland one, we've got some money on it. The 49ers, the first year was a bit of a disaster, but they look as if they finally got the business plan working now. We're making money and we're bringing in better quality. And that's what's important for me. The more money we can free up, maybe with Raskin moving out as well on wages, would allow us to do the one that everyone sees unthinkable, the Lewis Ferguson move. But we've not spent a lot of money yet, and we're really improving this team. And the players that we're bringing in all seem to understand the club. If we could get Lewis Ferguson in there as well, it'll be a massively successful transfer summer window for us.
Yeah, I mean, but looking at some of the figures that have been reported for Lewis Ferguson, you're looking at upwards of 17 million. I can't imagine a world in which that happens unless we manage to make a deal with them for Nico Raskin. If they get Nico Raskin and plus they give us, I don't know, 5 million or something for Lewis Ferguson, maybe that's the deal that we'll do. Because I personally would value Nico Raskin at about 20 million. So if we did, we take 5 million, they give us 5 million and Lewis Ferguson for Nico Raskin, then you're still getting that swap for the player that you want, and additional money in the bank as well. So maybe that's something that we'll look into. But it's going to be difficult because apparently other clubs are interested in him as well, like Roma, I think Lazio,
Yeah.
Atalanta as well are rumored to be interested in him. You know,
It'll be
maybe
difficult. It'll be difficult, but let's look at it a different way. If we bought 4 or 5 players in and we were spending 25 million, 30 million, you'd be saying that's a lot of really good business. It looks like we're going to bring in 45 players and spend 17 million because the rest of them there's not really any outgoing so far. That we're making more money's coming in than's going out. So one big transfer for Lewis Ferguson, a guy that knows everything about the club, supports the club, family played for the club. To me, that's a no-brainer. Raskin, good player, but we always knew he was going to leave. He's having a good World Cup. And dare I say it, we all thought it on Saturday night, but we might get a few quid for Asgard.
yeah.
That frees up the transfer, mate. That frees up plenty of money. We spend it on one big player, and the rest of them, Shanklin's already here. We've got the goalkeeper coming in tomorrow, I think, and the boy that came in the day, Godfrey.
Yeah, and maybe that's it. Maybe we're looking to
Penrith won't cost.
you
Penrith
know,
cost a lot of money, and how
I
much did we
know.
get? What did we spend on McCrory?
I think it was 1.5. I think it might be
So,
1.5, but with add-ons, it could go up to 2 million, something like that.
so the business
But
has
it's
been
not
very
a
good.
lot of money.
Aye, that's good business so far.
Yeah, and like you say, we've still got players that will be out the door. 3 million is good business for Butland, but then you've got the likes of Basrami. Can you get some money for him? Danilo, can you get some money for him? You could get 2 million for some of these players if possible. Then that all of that adds up. You're getting big wages off the books as well.
Ship them
So
out.
that makes
There's a lot of players there that you mentioned. They're just not good enough to play for Rangers Football Club. And I read a few comments today on our page, people being negative about McInnes. McInnes is identifying people who are mentally ready to play for our club. And that's massive because that's all we complained about last year. Ability wise, most of them had ability. They just didn't have the bottle to play with Rangers. McInnes is addressing that very early. And I like it so far. I like what he's doing. I like the type of player he's bringing in. But I'd like to see that Lewis Ferguson move just to get a proper captain in the middle of the park.
yeah.
Again, players who don't need 2 and 3 months to adapt to the club, mate, just straight in.
And it sort of feels like that is just the perfect signing for this summer. Someone that you can bring in, you can straight away give him the captaincy because he's already been captain of Bologna, he's been captain of Aberdeen, so he's had experience being a leader. So we could easily bring him in, make him the captain. Then you got Lawrence Shanklin as a vice captain as well, and then you start to have players that you can build the rest of the team around. But you've at least got leaders in there. You look at Ross McCrory, bringing him in, and the attitude that he's now come in with. He's not this wee boy anymore that we had playing for us 6, 7, 8 years ago, whenever it was. He's grown up. He's now a man. He's got experience playing at Aberdeen
Yes.
and
In the space of
Aberdeen
in the space of 4 weeks, we've now got a dressing room from top to bottom with Rangers people and people who know exactly what's required from the first game of the season. Who would have thought that 4 weeks ago, pal? Honestly, who would have thought that?
Did you watch the behind the scenes clip? Things like
Yeah.
30 minutes long. How good is that? How good is that? I absolutely love content like that. It's so good that they've done it because it's getting the fan base just buzzing again for the season.
Yes.
I mean,
If
there was
we're
a
going to
number of
spend, if we and other podcasts are going to spend months complaining about the players' attitudes and the way that they approach games, then we have to congratulate the club when they bring in players who want to be here, who understand this is the greatest football club in the world. They want to be a part of it and they're ready to go now. There's no excuses from any of them. They're ready to go right now, and that's what I want with Rangers. And all credit to not only Derek McInnes, but the backroom staff and Jim, who's came in, Jim Gillespie. There's a lot of work getting done behind the scenes, mate, and I've got to say I applaud it.
There's a lot of work getting done, quickly as well. It seems like we get Ross McCrory over the line, bang, you got the whole Ben Godfrey news, and then bang, we've now got this Ivor Pandur news now as well. So it's like, bang, we're not waiting around, we're just getting our business done because we know
And there's no leaks. Aye, there's no leaks. I mean, I know that boy was at Penrith's with Andy Halliday, the new training, but that he could go to anybody. But that's kind of open news. He can go to anybody. But I like the way we're doing our business. I like the speed that we're doing our business, and I like the way that we're getting money back on it. But let's talk about Ben Godfrey. I think this is the more I'm thinking about it, this is a really good signing because we need somebody beside Fernandez who can play football. And he seems, you mentioned it there, Jay, his interview today as well, he seems like he knows exactly what Rangers Football Club is all about and what's required.
Yeah, I like the comment about when he was asked if he had spoken to anyone about the move, and he said that he didn't need to. He knows all about the club. He knows the size of the club. He knows the demands are going to be extremely high. But he's one of those where he's 28. So in terms of that age profile, he's coming in. He's got that experience. He's not a young boy that's learning his trade. He's been around the block a bit. So he's had experience of Everton. He's played for England twice, 2 caps. He's had Champions League experience. He's had experience abroad with the likes of Atalanta and Bromby. So he has got experience. He understands what it takes to play football at the highest level. So
he described himself to the Rangers fans today as aggressive. How long have we been asking for an aggressive centre half?
I know, but now it's just all about making sure that there's one thing saying that you understand the environment and you understand the expectations, etc. But it's now about delivering, and I really hope that we actually have the environment where we've got other players around him that can help get the best out of him as well as he can help get the best out of everyone else. Because before that, you're looking at like signings from last summer. There's so many young players there, and even if you've got some more experienced pros like Joe Rothwell coming into this team filled with young and experienced players, there was no real leadership there, and it's not surprised that even the most experienced players couldn't handle the pressure because they didn't have other experienced players around them. So now I feel like we're going to get the balance right, where we're going to have a number of senior pros. You look at Ross McCrory, 28. You look at Ben Godfrey, 28. Even the goalkeeper, he's not a young boy, he's 26. So he's got experience, and there'll be plenty more, especially if we can get Lewis Ferguson in, and you've got Shankland in.
We've got top quality Rangers people on and off the park to guide the inexperienced. That's what we didn't have last year. They looked terrified at the first 4 or 5 games of the season. By the time they settled their nerves, the manager was leaving. It was badly thought of, but they seem to have got the right balance. You're correct. The balance is what it's all about. The one thing I will say about the players going in and out, Shermiti, the more I think about it, I would definitely be keeping. He seems to have come onto his game the last few months. And if you play him alongside Shankland, you might just have a deadly combination there, mate.
Yeah, I would keep him, but I'm interested to see what we do with the strikers. Obviously, we've got 5 in the books at the minute. One will definitely leave, and that has to be Danilo. But
I would say 2, Miovski and Danilo. I would let go.
But that's it. Well, if you're playing with 2 strikers, then you're going to need 2 backup strikers as well, in my opinion. So you'd keep.
What have we got? Hold on, let's go through it. What have we got? We've got Miovski. We've got Naderi.
Yeah.
Shermiti. Shankland. Anybody else?
And then just
Danilo. Right, Danilo. Right. I think we both agree Danilo needs to go anyway.
Yeah, he'll be off. There's no way he'll stay. And hopefully we can get 1 or 2 mil for him, just get him off the books and get some money in. But then it's if we are going to play with 2 strikers up top, then we definitely need to keep 4. So then I see Miovski staying.
Miovski might just stay there. You're right with that.
If that's the plan, if that is the plan, then he wants to go 4-4-2. But then if you go with a 4-4-2, we're going to need to find midfielders that can play as a 2 in midfield. And some of the midfielders I worry about whether they're capable of that or not.
Well, let's throw the obvious one into the ring. Let's throw the obvious one into the ring, mate. We've spoken about Lewis Ferguson. We'd love to have him at Ibrox. Can we get Moore back for 1 more season? That's a big one for me because what a player that boy is.
I think we could.
He's very quiet.
It wouldn't surprise me if it is, and I feel like he's going to have pretty much a whole pre-season with Tottenham because De Zerbi's going to want to have a look at him and see if he's up for playing first team football for Tottenham. But you look at some of the business that they're doing. They are I'm not sure if they bought that Savinha or they were linked with that Savinha from Man City. I'm not sure if that's over the line or not. But that sort of caliber of player with that experience, it's going to be tough for Moore to get in the starting spot there. I personally think for his development, he's 18 to 19 in August. I think for his development, 1 more year at Ibrox would be perfect. You're playing once again in a club which demands you win every week. If Tottenham want to build a team that has those demands, you're better off letting a boy like Mikey Moore go on loan at a level that isn't the English Premier League and learn to play under those demands, because there's no bigger club in football than to play.
One of the big things for a football player is happiness. When a player's not happy, they down tools, they don't play well. And if you send out Moore to another club, it's a risk at any club. Will he be happy? He seemed to love his time at Ibrox, and I genuinely think it would work for all parties, for Rangers, for Tottenham, and for Mikey Moore to come back for one more season.
Yeah, and you definitely take him. If you look at how much he grew last year with us, from that wee boy that started the season and got taken off after 45 minutes away at Falkirk in Russell Martin's last game, and he was really struggling, to what he then ended up becoming. Was a massive change in him, and he really grew up. And I feel like another year of that would be perfect. I kind of think that will get done. I think maybe if Salzburg come in for him and I don't know, they offer Spurs a better deal, because obviously Danny Rose sort of played with him or coached him and loved him. I feel like that's the only way we really miss out. Other than that, I feel like he would definitely come back if we were in for him, which we should be.
That's my answer to your question. Sorry, mate, when you asked about the question, 2 quality midfielders, and we're talking about quality. Lewis Ferguson and Mikey Moore.
Yeah, but
together.
But you couldn't play those two in the middle of the park together, in my opinion. As in, like, the centre mid, like Mikey Moore would play either in the number 10 role or on the left-hand side. But if we play with 2 strikers, there isn't that number 10 role, because then Shanklin would be the one that would play like the 9.5.
But the way football's went over the last few years, it's completely changing. It's a squad game now, mate. You probably find they would shoehorn them in for certain parts of a game and whatever. But in terms of quality, that's the obvious 2 bits of quality that would be hard for Rangers to bring in, but I wouldn't say impossible. And so far, because of the business that they've done, getting rid of the players that have cost a lot of money but are no good to Rangers, it's slowly becoming, maybe still a dream, but it's becoming reality. I think it could happen.
Yeah, and I would love those 2 to come back to the club. Well, Lewis Ferguson to actually get to the club finally. But Mikey Moore, coming back for another season would be great. And if we could get those 2 in, but the thing is also with Mikey Moore, if the plan is for him to play off the left-hand side, you've got Gassama there that's playing off the left, and then you've also got Finley Curtis, whose favourite position is that left-hand side. So if you send Finley Curtis out on loan for another year, maybe Kilmarnock will take him back for a year, then potentially you could then bring in Mikey Moore, or sell Gassama, bring in Mikey Moore and Curtis. They can both play off the left-hand side. But then we still need to get players.
No-brainer for me, mate. No-brainer for me. Sell Gassama and play Finley Curtis. Finley Curtis is more than ready to be playing for Rangers. You'll probably not get him at a more peaker time of his career. The wee stint away with Kilmarnock helped him. He went to the World Cup. Gassama, he's a 10-minute man. He's all right. For his excuse, playing him on the right wing was criminal. But if you're asking me, and I think the Rangers support, who would you prefer, Finley Curtis or Gassama? I think everybody would say Finley Curtis, to be fair. You've also got McCausland's back as well, but I don't see that. I don't see him staying with Rangers. I could be wrong with that.
I think he'll be off. And I hope he is, because we've all seen what he's capable of. I don't really see him improving that much. And unfortunately for him, he's just not at that level required. But I hope he does get a good move somewhere. Because I feel like he can definitely add value to another club, but just not for us. But I would like to see, this could be another way how we could fund like Lewis Ferguson, right? Because if you bring in Mikey Moore on another season loan, you've already got Finley Curtis and they both fight each other out for that left-hand side position. Then you could sell Gassama. I think Monaco bid 10 million for him in January. If you can get 10 to 15 million for Gassama,
take it all day long.
Get away. Like you're not really paying much money for bring Mikey Moore back on loan. You're not paying anything for Finley Curtis. Plus, you've got that money then to reinvest in other areas of the pitch, like Lewis Ferguson in the middle of the park. But we also have other work to do, like on the right-hand side, because you've got Ant-Man, and then you've got Ant-Man. That's it, Ant-Man. So obviously we had Scott Olsen there, who's no longer there, and we definitely won't be looking to bring him back permanently. So
I'm 50-50 with Ant-Man.
But that's it. Like, do we go with that man, or do we need to now buy 2 right wingers as well, and try to
well,
cut losses?
What I will say about that is, it's quite evident that Derek McInnes has been planning this for a wee bit longer than 4 weeks. So he'll probably already have that decision made. I spoke about Derek McInnes for years on this channel. The guy bleeds red, white, and blue. He is one of the boys for the toll. His whole ambition was to play for Rangers and then manage Rangers, and he's finally got that. No way in the world did he come here unprepared. So he'll have the players in mind. My opinion on it would be I would probably give Ant-Man a chance. But there's also the name Tierney's came up a few times as well, if you remember.
Yeah.
Tierney was a far better player than Ant-Man, without doubt. But again, it's all down to what the manager's thinking, his plan. I've not heard much more about Braga. That was spoken about for a few weeks, but I don't know, mate.
Yeah, I know. I don't think we'll go in for Braga, to be honest with you.
Nah. Any
Yeah.
comments?
Let's have a look. I was just looking there at Elijah Just. So we've got a comment here from Sheik Sharp saying Ross and Ben, two big fellas going in the right direction. Hopefully Alan McGregor back soon as well. Yeah, because the goalkeeping coach has now left to join Coventry, hasn't he? So there is an option for potentially Alan McGregor to come back and be the goalkeeping coach. Would you want that?
Yeah, so two things. Chick, how you doing, mate? It's always good to have you back on. Valued contributor and great comments. I'll answer that back with two answers to that. Yes, Alan McGregor back 100%. And also, I've championed this for ages, Jim McAllister, who was shamefully removed from the club by James Bisgrove and then proven to be the right man, the man in the right, and Bisgrove left in disgrace. Jim McAllister, Rangers through and through, who was not only the kit man, he was also Jimmy Bell's prodigy, and he took the set pieces and he took the training, and the players really admired him. So that's a guy I would get back. Alan McGregor knows everything about what it takes to be the Rangers goalkeeper, because he was one of Rangers' greatest goalkeepers. I would get him back very quickly. Yeah. And that gets more Rangers people at the club, because back to what I know I rant about this quite a lot. See, when we were beating Celtic 2-0 at Ibrox a few months back, we need people in the dressing room telling them you've won nothing. You've won nothing. Get back out there and kick their ass. Because we know what the refs are capable of. We know what the officials are capable of. And we know that if you back down and you let the snake back up, the snake will bite you. And when you've got the snake by the throat, you stamp it out. McGregor back 100%.
We had so many moments like that last season under Danny Rowe, where we were really good for 45 minutes and then really poor for the second half. You look at Hearts away after the split, you look at pretty much every game. So you look at the Motherwell game where we were really terrible for 45 and then we did a good 20 minutes after the break. And as soon as we got back to 2-2, we put our foot off the gas again. So
I don't even know. I know what you're saying, Jay. I know what you're saying with that, Jay, right? But see, if I'm being 100% honest, I don't even think, if we're really looking at all the games, how many games were we even good for 45 minutes?
Well, that's
the majority of these games were good for about half an hour. Danny Rowe's a coach, and he's probably going to be a good coach, but he would never, ever be good enough to be the manager of Rangers Football Club. He simply didn't understand the task, and that was down to the 49ers bringing him in panic. They brought him in panic after that farce of Russell Martin coming to the club, but they've finally got it right. They've got a guy who knows what it means to be the Rangers manager. Derek McInnes didn't become the Rangers coach, first team coach, call it whatever bullshit we want. He's came in, and him and Jim Gillespie emphasised that he'll be the manager of Rangers Football Club. We've got a guy in charge who knows what it's all about. Being looked after by the CEO who knows what it's all about, who's told us that he grew up supporting Rangers and he grew up with the traditions of how to act and behave like a Rangers manager. It's big times ahead, mate. I'm telling you, it's going to get better.
And I was trying to convince myself that when we were looking like we were keeping Danny Rowe, that things were going to be okay, because he's had a number of months to get his head around being the Rangers manager. But I was just convincing myself, because otherwise it'd be a very depressing place if I didn't think that way. But now that he has gone and Derek McInnes is in the job, I am like, no, this is what it feels like to actually have proper faith in what we're trying to do and what we're trying to achieve. Seeing all of the content from all the behind the scenes, from when he touched down in Glasgow, his trip up to Ibrox, him meeting the fans, him taking the training sessions, the way he behaved with the players, the conversations that he had with the players. Like Ross McCrory said in his interview, you want to run through brick walls for this manager. We've gone from having a manager that created this absolute embarrassment of a tough situation, which was such an easy thing for him to solve, but created some sort of disaster and didn't start him in his last game without actually communicating to him that he wasn't starting until everything was already in place for people to come and watch him and his family and stuff to be there. You know, all of that embarrassment. A real manager, a Rangers manager, would never let that happen, right? So,
the biggest compliment I can give to Derek McInnes, we've said staunch and we've said about all the traditional stuff. He was the best manager in Scottish football last year by a country mile. And when he became the manager of Glasgow Rangers, the Celtic PR machine or the SFA, call them whatever you want, what's the first thing they done?
try and get him
Went
banned.
out and banned him from being in the dugout. That's how that mob operate. That's how they operate. Make no mistake about that. But it's a compliment to McInnes because McInnes will get it right. I'm 100% sure of that. And I just urge the Bears stick by him and give him plenty of time because it's a shit show he's inheriting. And he's trying to change not just the culture, but the standards. And look at these players coming in. Everybody's talking about what it means to be a Rangers player and a Rangers man. Give him time.
Yeah, I completely
By the way,
agree.
that's a dog like my ear in case somebody's wondering what that noise is.
He just looks the part. I feel like he talks the part, he acts the part. He's going to be a success. I am so
He gets it.
He
gets it.
He gets it, you know, and that means more than you probably think, you know, just understanding what this club's about, the environment. It's not for everyone, you know, it's unique. It is absolutely unique to be there. Yeah. And we've finally got someone, not just a manager, we've got a CEO now as well who understands what this club's all about. And you can see it in the signings that we're making, right? You know, that bringing the likes of Ross McCrory back. You know,
that McCrory interview was as good an interview with a Rangers player signing as you'll ever see or hear.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you got players on the pitch that when you're 2-0 up at home to that mob, they're not going to be downing tools for the second half. They're going to go for the kill. You know, they're going to still give it their all. They're not going to think they've won anything. You know, and that's exactly the sort of attitude and sort of players that we need to be bringing in.
And back to the point, Alan McGregor coming in is just another addition to these standards.
Yeah, you know, if he comes back in, that would be I'd be all for that.
But sorry, was that talked about today, or is Chick just saying it's a suggestion?
I've seen people suggest it because just the goalkeeping coach left, but it's not nothing's been confirmed or anything like that. But it was definitely something that I would like to see.
But back to what we said earlier on, mate. Derek McInnes knows what Rangers are all about. He's got lots of friends that played with Rangers, and he mentioned the fact, if you remember the interview, now that we're talking about it, he mentioned the fact that a lot of people that played with Rangers who he didn't play with have sent him their best wishes and support. So maybe something like Alan McGregor's not so far away for goalkeeping coaches we would imagine.
Yeah. And I think he would want to do something like that. You know, he'd want to make sure that there's plenty of Rangers
who wouldn't want to be involved with Rangers Football Club? I think that's something that we forget a lot of times because of the anti-Rangers media that love to tell you nobody wants a job, nobody wants this, nobody wants that. 50,000 fans at Ibrox every week supporting the team. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah, I know. You know, and looking at the footage today with Ben Godfrey, he was looking around Ibrox and just like he looked in awe of the place. You know, he said he can't wait to see it full with supporters. And this is it. Like how many other clubs do you get to play for where you have a fan base as passionate, you know, and as loud as ours, and you get to play for trophies. And you know, if you do well at a club like this, you are just forever a hero. Look how we treat, you know, the legends of the past. You know, like some Michael Moles and stuff when they come back to Ibrox and how they get treated, etc. Paul Gascoigne, you know, how we treat our legends of the club.
Yeah. Well, an example of that. An example of that is the boy Pandur. Is it Panda? We spoke about earlier. He's at Hull City, and if he's spoken to John Lundstrom, I'm pretty sure he'll have been told how great it is.
Yeah,
Ibrox, especially on a European night under the floodlights. He'll be well versed and rehearsed on that, mate. Any more news on transfer deals or anything you want to chat about?
I think it's worth saying that how many players have we got in now? So we've got, I think, 3 confirmed, haven't we? In Shanklin, McCrory, and Ben Godfrey. Hopefully, number 4 with the goalkeeper will be on the way soon. But I have faith in the owners now and the people at the club that they have an understanding of the player that we need. You know, they had last year to make their mistakes and to really understand the club and the environment. But we are going for it, and I feel confident that we've got the right man in charge to actually lead the team, you know, in footballing matters, and we have the right people behind the scenes to make sure that they're supporting the manager and getting him everything that he needs, because they would have felt the heartache. You know, Andrew Kavanagh, he's not a silly man. Like he's a very intelligent man. He would have felt in moments last year how good it can be when things are going well, but then he would have also felt how bad things feel when they're not going well. So he will know exactly where he wants to get to, and that will just give him extra motivation to get us to where we want to get to. You know, so he never has to feel those bad times again, and we feel plenty of the good times. So I have full confidence that we are on the right track. You know, I am so looking forward to the season ahead, but we still have a lot of business to do because we need another centre back in to play to challenge Fernandes for that left centre back spot, because I don't think Enciala is going to be up to it. We need another left back to challenge Tua Romans. I'd love to see Penrice. That would be my number 1 target if we can get him in, but I don't think AEK Athens are going to make that easy. And we need some more midfielders in, because you look at Raskin, right? He's going to go. You look at Diamande. Is he going to? He got 2 years left in this deal, so he's most likely going to be sold if we really want to make money on him. You know, so we're going to need to get some midfielders in. You look at Lewis Ferguson, who'd be my number 1 pick. But then you also look at the wingers. How many wingers do we need? You know, we could need two or 3 wingers, depending on how things go. So there's still a lot of business to be done, but we're on the right track. We're getting our business done early. You know, it's not even July yet, and we could be 4 signings in. You know, but it's also important that we get the outgoings as well, the Bazramis, you know, Danilos. They need to head out the door. And looking at the World Cup, you know, I'm not a big fan of Asgard. I think he's technically really good footballer. I just don't think he's got a heart to play for Rangers. I don't think, you know, he's got that physicality that you need, or the aggression that you need. I feel like he's quite a nice, tidy footballer. But look what he's doing in Norway. He's got a great goal against France. If he can add another 1 or 2 goals, if he gets in the pitch for Norway this World Cup, you're talking double figures in millions for him as well. So there's an opportunity here to really make money, but also then invest it wisely. So plenty to do, but so much to look forward to.
Let me put it a different perspective on it for a wee minute. In terms of the last 10 to 5 years, possibly the best appointment Rangers have made is Jim Gillespie, because I think he may be the man who will start to put things right behind the scenes. And he's identified the manager. He's only in the door a few months. He's identified the right manager. He's identified the problems. He's identified the culture. Now, let's hope he's strong and he'll call out the inconsistencies and the bad sportsmanship and the refereeing issues that need to be addressed. And if we can do that together as a support, Gillespie, CEO, the 49ers behind him, McInnes as a manager, and those passionate Rangers fans who are unbeatable, then we could be a real force to be reckoned with for the next 10 years together. And that's what I'm hoping this is going to be. We don't keep bringing managers in, and we keep a core of Rangers people at the club who know exactly what's required and when it's required.
But this is what we're doing in terms of transfers as well. If you look at some of the signs that we made already, you look at Ross McCrory, you look at Shanklin coming in. These are players this is their pinnacle, right? Playing for the club. So these aren't players that we're looking to move on and make money on. These are players that we're looking to have at the club for a number of years, who can help the new players, the players that we will turn over for profit, come in and get the best out of them, make them understand the environment so they're not lost, you know, without any leaders on the pitch to help them through it. And we're building those foundations. We are improving the floor now.
And that's the term, mate. That's a good term that you've just used. The foundations.
That's exactly what we're doing.
Again.
Yeah, before we kept trying to build on uneven ground. You know, we didn't have a solid foundation. We're trying to buy all these young wonder kids that just don't have a foundation for them to really grow from. But now we're doing that. We're making up for the mistakes of the past. But there was a comment here from Sheik that I saw, which I thought as well, let me have a look for it, which I thought was quite interesting, because here we are, about the news about Cortez is contracted until 2029.
Cheetah's drop.
But these are the things that we're changing, right? So if you look at some of the contracts that were given out, like Ross McCrory's on a 3-year with an option for a further year, which will be an option that we can trigger. So, all of these contracts look to be less in terms of so they have a year to either show that they can do it. If not, then you could potentially sell them, or you can give them 2 years, but then you could trigger that extra year extension, which gives them 2 years on their contract, and then you can sell them for profit. We're keeping our options open rather than giving players like 4 or 5 year contracts. Give them a 3-year contract with the option of the extra year, which you can trigger if they're worth it, and then you keep players for potentially 2 years, or in Ross McCrory's case, it may be even longer than that because he's a Rangers supporter. But
And
no
that's
longer will you be left with a Cortez that's on the contract until 2029.
That's what I was alluding to. That's what I was alluding to earlier on when I says that it's a real shit show. These guys have got a lot to clean up in the behind the scenes that they're trying to do, and there's a lot because here's an example. Who's going to buy Cortez? Who's going to buy Danilo? That's before we start. Asgard scored a good goal in the World Cup, so if anybody wants him, three for the price of 2, get the sale on, get him out. It's going to be it's going to be a big job to get rid of him and free them up from the wage bill.
Yeah, but I didn't think anyone. When I looked at Jack Butland's situation, I thought there's no chance we're going to get a new goalkeeper in because we're not going to have Jack Butland on the bench for a year on the wages that he's on, and I can't see anyone giving us any money for him. So potentially we'd have to do like a mutual termination of the contract or something. But the fact that we're getting 3 million for him at 33 years old with 1 year left in his deal, and he's not exactly been the best goalkeeper in the world. He's had some really good games, but then some absolute stinkers as well. So.
And you have to remember, Gillespie spoke about the fact that the Rangers' traditions, standards and expectations, and he'll be well aware that when the manager was on his arse, Jack Butland was only happy to support Tavernier down in tools and support a player revolt against the manager. Whether you like the manager or no, that's not how a Rangers player should be behaving. And he's probably been told that's not on. So he's been a Rangers goalkeeper. He's had plenty of chances, and if he's going, let the new guy in, because this team need to be united and stand together for Rangers. No fighting every time you disagree with a manager, because Rangers are more important than your pal. Tavernier's gone. He can't cause any more bother. He can't cause any more trouble. And what happened at the end of the season just showed up that there was players who were more interested in their egos than they were in the 50,000 Rangers fans that follow Rangers everywhere. Yeah. And remember, they pay good money to see a winning Rangers team. They don't pay to see guys dividing the dressing room. And but that's why I'm going.
I think that will change though under Derek McInnes, because he is someone 100%, that you can just tell that he'll be able to get the best out of the players. You can just tell that they'll run through brick walls for him. You can just tell that he's going to be able to get a team to gel together, and play.
If you remember at the time, mate, I said that carry on with Tavernier and the way he behaved, no acting like a Rangers captain at all. The way he behaved would never have been accepted with Walter Smith. It would never have been accepted by Graham Souness. And my hero, Jock Wallace, well, that's another thing whatsoever, because Jock Wallace would have dealt with that very, very quickly. Tavernier wouldn't have been threatening to walk out 3 and 4 times and make an arse of him. That wouldn't have happened under Derek McInnes. I can assure you, Derek McInnes will have the players respecting him and understanding if you don't do what's right for Rangers, you'll be out of the club. And that's exactly what we need. A manager, not a coach.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we've got. And I think, you can see the club have made a point to call him the manager and not the head coach. Because there is no head coach at Rangers. It's the manager's job. You need to have a figurehead at the club, and I feel like we've now got that in Derek McInnes.
Leadership. You need leadership.
Yeah, and comment from Chris McRobert saying we could bring in the best players in the world, but at the end of the day, it's whether they gel together with the team and play the team. But with the new manager, I'm actually feeling confident and looking forward to the season ahead for the first time in a while. And I think that echoes myself as well. Like, I'm massively looking forward to this because I feel like we finally got the right man in charge, and he's been under our nose essentially for how many years now? This is his pinnacle. This is what he has worked his life for, to be the manager of Rangers. I love the story that he said about the last time that he was in the manager's office, which was the day he signed, and his old man was having a pint with Walter Smith. So, he knows what it means to be around.
He's never been far away. Anytime he's been a manager in Scottish football, he's always in the Village Hotel. He's always near Govan. He knows what team he supports and who he loves. and it's just took time to get him here. But we've got the best manager in Scottish football at the right time, at the pinnacle and the peak of his career, and he's angry because we all know what happened last season. The Celtic supporting media want us to forget about it. That should spur our players on to be even more angry, because what happened last season made Scottish football look like a pub league, and we need to readdress that now, and we need winners, and we need winners who'll start from the first game onwards with no excuses whatsoever.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be in this leadership group as well, because I was just having a look at
I wouldn't have one.
Last year's leadership group, it was James Tavernier, Jack Butland, Kieran Dowell, and John Souter were apparently in the leadership group. And I've just looked at an article from last season.
If a dog's gave me an allergy, but the nose is going and everything now. I don't know, mate. I'm no keen on these leadership groups. The whole team should be leaders. I don't like them. To me, it feels like a clique.
I understand that, you sort of, if you do have a leadership group, you're almost giving the other players an excuse not to be a leader because they're not part of the leadership group.
Let me make a suggestion. The leadership group should be the captain. End of.
Captain, vice captain.
No, captain. Just the captain. You've got a problem, you speak to the captain speaks to the manager.
But hopefully, I don't know if Derek had a leadership group at Hearts, did he? I'm not sure, because it is in like a modern football thing. And he's
all this bollocks that's coming into football. The sports science and all this garbage. Keep football simple. The captain of the club looks after the players. The manager is in charge of the players.
And who would you have as captain?
Right now, Lawrence Shankland. Who do I think will be the captain? Lewis Ferguson.
That'd be nice. Yeah, if Lewis Ferguson, but it's interesting that we haven't announced the captain yet, which in my view is either going to be one of the players that are on international duty at the minute, or it would be a new signing. And Derek McInnes might have his eye on someone to bring in to give him the captain's armband. And if he does, the only player that I can think of would be Lewis Ferguson. Otherwise, yes, I think. Otherwise, I would give it to, because I think Raston's going to go. I would give it to Shankland as captain, Ross McCrory as vice captain. That would be my.
That's a good shout. The great Rangers teams, when you look back at the history of the club, the great Rangers teams, all the players were captains. They were all leaders. And that's what we need to go back to. Get rid of these cliques. Get rid of these people that don't want to play for the manager, that don't want to play when it's too cold or when it's, you name it. And get people who want to play for Rangers and who want to fight for each other. That fight at Parkhead, when you seen young Mikey Moore being the only guy that went over and back to the fight up, was it with two Romans? I'm trying to remember what it was, but
two Romans is one like that though as well,
Yeah, back to the days of Souness brought to the club when it was all for one for all. If you mess with one Rangers player at Easter Road, everybody tears in and fights for the club and fights for their teammates. A team of captains and a team of leaders.
But we also, the players need to understand that every single club in this country absolutely hates us. So we need to have this mindset of us against the world, right? We've got every other club that wants to beat us more than anything. We've got the refs that give the other mob at the other side of the city every single decision. We need to use that as fuel. Don't feel sorry for ourselves. Don't let it overwhelm us or stop us from playing our game. We just need to go out there and bully the opposition. If one of our players gets a bad foul against them, everyone should be in there. If the referee is making a terrible decision, everyone should be in there.
Everybody should be there. Now,
and each other up.
What's making this last few weeks really exciting for me, and we've spoken about it in the chat, is what's happening on the park and off the park. One of Rangers' greatest appointments in the last 50 years was when we brought in David Holmes, who revolutionised Scottish football and gave Rangers the boot and the balls it really needed. Jim Gillespie could be our David Holmes moment. Let me leave you with that, mate. Jim Gillespie could be our David Holmes of the modern day era at the club. Somebody who knows exactly who's required as a manager of, because it was he made it clear that the club decided it was right to get rid of Danny Rowe and to bring in a manager and to bring in a leader and to bring in Rangers men and to bring in Rangers standards and Rangers traditions. This might be the guy that we've been waiting on for a long time. Somebody who cares about Rangers Football Club and the best interest of the fans.
It's what we've been crying out for so long. No longer do we need to have the likes of your Patrick Stewarts, who just, did not look like a Rangers CEO in a million years. The way he sat there in press conferences looking socially awkward, just not doesn't give you that confidence that he knows what he's doing, and some of the stuff that you heard from what was going on behind the scenes, etc. Those days look like they are long gone now. I have full confidence in the press conference, Derek McInnes' press conference, when that Heart supporter was going on about us taking their players, and he was like, Rangers basically do whatever we want, essentially. If we want to take one of your players, we'll take one of your players. And that sort of attitude is exactly what we need. We need to be able to believe that.
He stepped in and he backed his manager up, but he backed the club. He backed the club. Now, remember the Union Bears, just quickly, put the banner up a few seasons ago. Patrick Stewart had a chance to back the Bears. The game hadn't even finished in the Old Firm, and Patrick Stewart came out and condemned the fans and supported our opposition, only to realise it was going to be backtrack because he got it wrong. This guy's not going to do that. This guy's man of the dairy, and that's what's important. We've got one of our own.
You can't make those type of mistakes. Like, I'm sorry, but if you go down that road, there's no way back. You've already lost the support of the fans, and that club like Rangers, you lose the support of the fans. There's just no way back. You saw that with Danny Rowe, and that was one of my worries as well. Because he'd already lost the fans, so trying to win that back this season was going to be very tough. He would have had to have the perfect start, winning every single game, because as soon as you drop points, the fans were going to be on his back immediately. So that was another reason why I thought I couldn't have been happier now that we've got Derek McInnes in charge.
So what's happening on the park and off the park, I'm absolutely delighted with, mate. I think, is that enough for us for tonight?
I think so, mate.
Just before I finish, I'm going to leave you with a quick quote, and then I'm going to ask you to finish the show by telling us how well it went at the weekend with Young Lewis's charity. I'm going to finish off by, I'm absolutely delighted the way the club's been run in the last 4 or 5 weeks. I've complained about it for years, and as it comes up to the anniversary of 1st of July, I'm going to quote the late, great Sir Edward Carson when he says, "Victory comes to those who are organised." Thank you very much, folks. Will you please let us know how Saturday went and the charity work that Gers TV done through Young Lewis, yourself, Cordy?
Yeah, so Lewis organised a football tournament, a five-a-side tournament, and then followed by an event at the We Rangers Club, which was really great. Unfortunately, the Gers TV didn't do that well in the football tournament. I realised that I played football for a few years, and we got beat every match bar one. We came second bottom. So there you go. So not much to talk about with the football, but yeah, and then we had some drinks and a party at the We Rangers Club, which was great, and we did an auction as well and raised some money for the charity, which was fantastic. And bless Lewis, he was nervous about this event. I think it's the first one he's organised, but it was very good, and hopefully it gives him the confidence to organise many more for that great cause. So no, it was good all round, so mate. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see each other, did we? Because you were away at your own event at the weekend.
Blairgowrie. I was up in Blairgowrie with the brothers up there for the weekend. Shout out to the Donald Cargill Memorial and the Drumgelloch Bible and Crown flute band. What a reception I got once again, and the people of Edinburgh. It was fantastic, but unfortunately I missed you, mate.
Yeah, next time, mate, next time. But yeah, in terms of the football, hopefully we get another couple of signings in by the end of the week, and the boys are ready for the preseason games kicking off. When is the first preseason game, by the way? Has it been announced, the first one? I know we've announced the game against West Ham, but I think that's sort of towards the back end of July.
I think there'll be a few bounce-ups maybe next week. Well, we don't need to worry about Scotland players coming back for the World Cup. Steve Clark sorted that out for us, didn't he?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Don't need to start with him. That's for another day. He'll be here all night.
Well, just check the football scores as well. Brazil have gone through 2-1 against Japan. Gabriel Martinelli scored a 95th minute winner. So yeah, well done to Brazil. Cool. Anything else?
No, mate, it's absolutely boiling here. I've got the hay fever, and I'm going to get out and enjoy the rest of the night. Thanks for coming on. Just a wee quick one, guys. If you could help us out by liking and subscribing the YouTube channel, most importantly, because you'll watch the videos in a far better resolution and quality, and it helps us getting people into the YouTube. We've focused on Facebook for a long time, but if you could just hit subscribe to the YouTube, it'll cost you nothing, and you'll get a slightly better quality than what you've got just now.
Happy days. Right. Thank you for watching. And we will see you on the next one. Bye for now.
Good night.